Evening, everyone. I see it's 1 minute past 7. I started the recording. Hello, Janine. I am just going to put you onto mute. I'm hearing your... I don't know how to do that. Janine, if you can just click on your mute button, unless you want to say something. All right. Hello, everyone. We're ready to start. It's 1 minute past 7. All right. We will start with the same, what these meetings are about. The Hebrew pattern behind Yeshua's gatherings is rooted in the Hall assembly that meets in the Bayit house from the Torah onward. Yahweh commanded that his words be taught and lived within the household where covenant obedience is formed through daily life rather than institutional religion. Yeshua gathered people in homes to restore Israel to Torah, re-established lawful assembly of Yahweh, and deliver the constitution and government of the kingdom, the laws, order, and authority by which Yahweh's reign operates on earth. These house gatherings were not informal or temporary. They were the original authorized way Yahweh forms these people, a covenant assembly in the house, governed by his word and lived out in obedience. Today, we are able to create assemblies in the house, each one in his own house where we are gathered today, to discuss the Torah and restore the Torah and the constitution of the kingdom of Yahweh. Deuteronomy 6, verse 6 to 7, the constitution taught in the house, and these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. Sorry, just give me a second. Seems like there's a request in the meeting tab.
That was me, Bernard. I was just letting you know that I was here.
Sorry, no problem. How are you?
It's been a wild morning this morning. Been busy. So I've been running around with like a chicken with his head cut off. Huh?
Were you able to open the document on your side?
I'm trying to get through it right now on my computer. I was having computer issues this morning as well. I couldn't even barely open a Bible app.
No problem. I'm almost done with the opening slide of the assembly, and I'll check in with you just now to see how you're doing on opening of the document.
10-4 sounds good, brother.
All right. Was it Deuteronomy 6, verse 6 to 7? And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall walk of them when you sit. And you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. This establishes Torah instruction in the house as Yahweh's ordained method. Isaiah 33, verse 22, Yahweh's kingdom and government. For Yahweh is a judge, Yahweh is our lawgiver, Yahweh is our king, he will save us. The verse defines the government of the kingdom as Yahweh is a judge, he is a judicial authority. Yahweh is the lawgiver, he is our constitution. Yahweh is our king, he is our executive ruler. Micah 4, verse 2, the law governing the kingdom. Many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, and we shall walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. This confirms teaching essential walking in obedience is required, and the law, Torah, governs the kingdom. Together, these scriptures show that Yeshua gathered people in the houses to teach the Torah, the kingdom's constitution, and to establish lives under Yahweh's lawful government, not a religious system, but a governed kingdom lived out in daily obedience. Today we are talking about the laws of the appointed times, the Moedim. Let's look at where we are in this teaching. We have done a few of these. Let's recap quickly. We have laid down the foundational framework of Torah by establishing who Yahweh is, who his people are, and how order is maintained within the household and community. The first teaching we did was on the law of Yahweh's authority and kingship. We began by establishing Yahweh as a king, lawgiver, and covenant giver. Torah was shown to be eternal, not temporary, rooted in covenant structure, with clear blessings for obedience and consequences for rebellion. We defined the contrast between Torah and lawlessness and affirmed that obedience flows from recognizing Yahweh's rightful authority. Then the second teaching we did was on the law of identity and separation. We then established who belongs to Yahweh. His people are called to be Kadosh, set apart, distinct in worship, conduct, and allegiance. Separation from pagan systems, unlawful mixtures, and foreign identities was emphasized as a matter of covenant faithfulness, not legalism. Identity is preserved through signs, practices, and obedience. Then we did the teaching of the man, the judge, the priest, and the teacher of the house. Finally, we addressed the order within the household, showing the man's responsibility as a governing authority, spiritual priest, righteous judge, and faithful teacher. Torah is first lived, guarded, and transmitted in the home before it is upheld in the community. Household order reflects covenant order. Where we are going, having established the authority, identity, and order, we now move into the laws of the appointed times, the Moedim. These laws govern the sacred time, teaching us when Yahweh meets with his people, how he orders time itself, and how covenant life is rehearsed, remembered, and proclaimed through his calendar. This marks a shift from who we are to how we walk in time with Yahweh. The laws of appointed times, the Moedim, Yahweh's calendar, and the principle of conditional obedience. Yahweh is the authority of time. Are you ready, Michael?
Yes, you said Yahweh is the appoint, and you're about to go to Genesis, right?
Genesis 1 verse 14, yes.
Okay. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years.
Seasons equals the Moedim, appointed time. Time itself was legislated by Yahweh. Please read to us Leviticus 23 verse 4.
These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
The feasts belong to Yahweh. They must be proclaimed at their appointed times. Psalm 104 verse 19.
He appointed the moon for seasons, the sun knoweth his going down.
Heavenly bodies are timekeepers. Appointments are tied to creation order, not tradition. Appointed times are legal appointments, not suggestions. Leviticus 23, verse 2.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
Deuteronomy 16, verse 16.
These times in a year shall all thy males appear before Yahweh, thy Elohim, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before Yahweh empty.
All right, so here we see a few things. Feasts require a chosen place, correct timing, and of course, national Israel participation. Jubilees 6, verse 36.
Getting there. Hold on one second,
No
brother.
problem. No problem. Take your time.
I got two different Bible apps going on today.
No problem. Well, Michael is, sorry. No, continue.
For there shall be those who shall assuredly make observations of the moon. Now it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year, 10 days too soon.
Here we clearly see in Jubilees 6, verse 36, if we read that full scripture in context, we'll see that there is a time where there's going to be incorrect timekeeping. There will be a disturbance within the Moedim. Obedience is invalid if the time is wrong, meaning that if we are not able to calculate the correct time, that we will be celebrating a feast on the wrong day. Torah laws operate on conditions. Please read for us Deuteronomy 12, verse 13 to 14.
Take heed to yourself that you offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that you seest, but in the place which Yahweh shall choose in one of thy tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you.
So location is a condition. Without the place, the law cannot be executed. Please read Deuteronomy 12, verse 5 to 6.
But unto the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall you seek, and thither you shall come. And there you shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithes and heave offerings of your hand and your vows and your freewill offerings and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks.
Please read for us Hebrews 7, verse 12.
For the priesthood being changed, there is made a change. There's made a necessity a change also of the law.
So when conditions change, the law function changes. Not abolished, it is rendered inactive. It is paused in certain areas because all the conditions need to be met for it to operate fully functional. When conditions cannot be met, obedience pauses. It is not abolished. It is not done away with. It is stopped until all the conditions are met. Please read for us Deuteronomy 12, verse 5, and then verse 11.
But unto the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall you seek, and thither you shall come. Then There shall be a place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. There shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, and your heave offering of your hand, and of all the choice vows which you vow unto Yahweh.
Here we see that Yahweh gives the place. To do it wherever you like means you are being disobedient. To be obedient means that you do exactly what Yahweh is telling you to do. No place means no lawful execution can happen if you do not have the place. Please read for us Amos 5, verse 22.
Though you offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts.
Offerings outside Yahweh's conditions are rejected. Please read for us Baruch 3, verse 6.
I got to pull up a different Bible app for that one, brother. Hold on one second.
No problem.
Where is it? I'll grab my book for that one.
No problem.
It's 5, what again? Sorry?
It's Baruch 3, verse 6.
Oh, Baruch 3, verse 6. Okay, got you. Or how shall one speak of your praises, or to whom shall that which is in your Torah be explained?
That's
Do
completely
you know?
different.
Oh, I'm in second Baruch. I am so sorry.
No problem.
First Baruch, second Baruch 3, verse 6.
It's Baruch 3, verse 6. Yeah.
Okay, for you are Yahweh, and you, O Yahweh, will we praise. I don't think that's where we're trying to go either.
I'll read my notes that I've got because I also we sing Yahweh's song in a strange land, because the part of that scripture goes, if there's a loss of land, a temple, you have to halt, because you cannot execute exactly what Yahweh wants. And the order holds certain commandments. So certain commandments are stopped because you are not in the land and you do not have access to the temple. So in prophecy, conditions would fail at the end of the days, or end of days, right? We can go to Daniel 7, verse 25, Michael.
In there now. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
This is partially already have come into place, because instead of the Sabbath being on the seventh day, the Saturday, it is now being practiced on the first day, which is the Sunday. Times have already changed. We already have the moon shining through the day instead of the night, showing that there is already a problem with the time calculations. We also see that the doctrine around the world has done away with the law. The law is not necessary. So the law is also being changed, right? So times and laws are connected. Changing time will affect obedience, lawful obedience. So you are unable to practice certain things because there are conditions that cannot be met. First of all, we do not know where our temple is. We do not know what the time is. We cannot accurately calculate that. Michael, will you go to Jubilees 1, verse 14?
And they shall forget all my Torah and all my commands and my right rulings, and shall go astray as to new moons and Sabbaths and festivals and jubilees and laws.
And we see that today. We've got
Hmm.
people practicing the Sabbath on a Wednesday, then it becomes a moving target. And it actually says it becomes a moving target in the first two chapters of Jubilees. And I invite the people to go and read more about this. But we are focusing today that they will go astray with new moons. They will go astray with Sabbaths. They will go astray with festivals, with the Jubilee years, and of course with the ordinances. This is prophesied. For us to say that we know the right time means that this prophecy cannot be true, and prophecy can only be true. We go to 1 Enoch 75 verse 2. I know my Enoch and your Enoch doesn't always align up, so I might be off here.
Okay, I'll just read it and just pause me in the middle of reading, and we'll try a different chapter. It says, "And owing to them, men go astray therein, for those lights truly render service on the world stations, one in the first portal, one in the third portal of the heaven, one in the fourth portal, and one in the sixth portal. And the exactness of the year is accomplished through its separate 364 stations."
Yeah, we can clearly see that there's where the times are met. So we are definitely in the right place. I will just read what I've got here. They shall forget all the appointed times of the earth and shall err in all the orders of the months. So somewhere you are in the right place. I just don't think it lines exactly up, because that gives the ordinances somewhere there will be a line. But the thing is here, there will be a time where the appointed times of the earth shall come to error, because this is prophecy. We read about it in Jubilees. We read about it in Enoch. The point that is being made here with the prophecies is there will be a time where it will be difficult to calculate the feast. So the conclusion we can come to, all right, from the witnesses that we've read, Yahweh created and governs the time. His laws operate by appointed times. Those require identifiable conditions. Prophecy states that those conditions would be obscured. When conditions fail, law obedience pauses. The Torah never commands unlawful obedience. So if we are unable to meet these conditions or calculate specific times, meaning if we do try it forcefully, we might create an error where we are doing something out of our own will and not the will of our Father. Michael, you must stop me if I'm not explaining it correctly, né?
I think you're doing it perfectly. And I also want to mention that I've broken down those days and times and seasons. I've got all the notes on it, and it's very difficult, guys. And I'm glad you're touching on this topic, Bernard. I think this is a great topic.
Yeah, and it's not to just talk about the Moedim, the appointed times. As we go through this, we'll see that we have to study these things. We have to know the feasts. We still have to study them. We just are not able to practice them, except for one, but we'll get to that. But I want us to understand more than know, because that understanding defines the difference, especially in this time of making errors when it comes to following the law. So if anyone doesn't understand, I will gladly spend time to explain. So please just raise your hand. There's a little 3 button at the bottom of the screen. If you press them, there's one that says raise your hand. I will pause and stop, and I will explain if there's someone that doesn't understand. All right. Holy convocations as binding legal appointments. The authority of the appointed times, the Moedim, the holy convocations as binding legal appointments. Moedim are declared law, not voluntary observances. You do not have a choice. I don't feel like doing this feast. There's no choice in this. Please read for us Michael, Leviticus 23, verse 4.
"These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons."
So holy convocations equals legally summoned assemblies. Proclamation is commanded. It is not optional. Therefore, this what we teachings that we are doing today is not for people that are not or that are new to the law, but this is for people that have already walked a little bit in the law, already have knowledge when it comes to this. This is deepening the knowledge of people already walking in the Torah. Leviticus 23 verse 3.
6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, and an holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings.
The Sabbath is included among the Moedim feasts. Authority applies to all Israel. Psalm 81 verse 3.
Blow the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed of our solemn feast day.
Feasts are tied to appointed times. Correct timing is mandatory for lawful observance. Authority to proclaim the Moedim is given by Yahweh. Leviticus 23 verse 2.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
That last part which Michael read to us, even these are my feasts. It's not our feast, it's the feast of Yahweh that he proclaims over us. Ownership of the feast belong to Yahweh. Israel does not define them independently. Please read first Joshua 23 verse 16.
When you have transgressed the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he commanded you, and have gone and served other gods, and bowed yourselves to them, then shall the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from off the good land which he hath given unto you.
Is that Joshua 23 verse 16?
I thought it was. Hold on, I'll read again. When you have, Joshua 23:16, when you have transgressed the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he commanded you, and have gone and served other gods and bowed yourselves to them, then shall that's what it says, brother.
Now one of my note is completely different.
Maybe a chapter prior, you want me to try that?
I'm just trying to see. Because that's you're reading out of
the King James here.
Yeah, this is also the King James. Yeah, don't worry, it happens when I get these wrong because I don't have an English. I've got an ESV. I just want to test it against my ESV. No, you're definitely right. I've completely missed. I don't know where I got this one. All right, sometimes this actually takes a lot of time. I do get confused.
I did the same thing.
All right, but we know that authority flows from Yahweh's command, and obedience depends on his fidelity to his instruction. Sirach 43 verse 10.
At the commandment of the Holy One, they shall stand in their order and never faint in their watches.
Heavenly order is maintained by command. Earthly appointments depend on that order. Moedim require identifiable conditions to be lawfully kept. Leviticus 23 verse 5.
And the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Yahweh's Passover.
So here we see a defined month on the first month, a defined day on the 14th day, and we will see that at even gives us a defined time. So the month, day, and time is all calculated by Yahweh, given to precision. If we are unable to calculate one of these conditions, we are unable to meet all of these conditions, which means that Passover, because we cannot define and meet it, is paused. Right? It's not abolished, it's not done away with. It's paused because we cannot meet those conditions. Please read for us Deuteronomy 16, verse 5 to 6.
You may not sacrifice the Passover within any of your gates which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth you, but at the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose to place his name in. There you shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the season that thou camest from forth out of Egypt.
So here we see that the location is also mandatory. Yahweh has to give us the place where it must happen. So we cannot decide to keep it where we want to. Private observance is forbidden. We know that in the New Testament, the disciples as well as Yeshua HaMashiach traveled to Jerusalem to keep the feast of the Passover. Why would they travel to Jerusalem to keep it at the temple if they could have just kept it wherever they were? Because Yahweh gives the place of his choosing where it will be kept and where it will be observed. Leviticus 16 verse 30.
For on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you to cleanse you, that you may be clean from all your sins before Yahweh.
Here we see a different condition. We see that this Moedim area requires a functioning priesthood with proper lineage and, of course, sanctified service. So here we see that these are additional conditions that have to be met as well with this specific feast. If conditions are not met, the convocation cannot be proclaimed. Read for us Amos 5 verse 21.
I despise your feast days and will not smell in your solemn assemblies.
Feasts performed incorrectly are rejected. Yahweh refuses unlawful convocations. That is why we just read in Jubilees and Enoch of the prophecies pertaining to this, that there will be confusion, so that we carry awareness that, okay, we will pause our feasts until we can meet all the conditions, knowing that we are not breaking the covenant, but we are not breaking the law, but we are keeping it by pausing the feast because of the conditions not being in place. Many times people come to me and say, but we have to keep the feast. Yes, if the conditions can be met, if the place is identified, if the priesthood is identified, because there are things of sacrifices that also have to happen with these feasts. And if those conditions cannot be met, you cannot make that feast just happen. It has got to meet the conditions. Please read for us Isaiah 1 verse 13.
Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is an iniquity, even the solemn meeting.
Assemblies without lawful conditions are invalid. Period. It is not negotiable. It is not opinionated. If you do not meet conditions, you cannot have a feast. It is an abomination to God. He refuses unlawful convocations, unlawful assemblies. Please read for us 1 Samuel 15 verse 22.
And Samuel said, hath Yahweh as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of Yahweh? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams.
We have to clearly see that here we have a recording of a historical example of what we have today. We have someone with good intentions trying to keep a feast on his own terms, creating a feast, creating a sacrifice, creating a condition out of his own to please God. It looks good from the onset. He has got a good heart. He is doing what is best. There's no bad intentions, but he's being disobedient because this is not what God commanded. He did not follow what the prophet instructed him to do. Obedience includes the how and the when. Unauthorized action is disobedience. If you're not doing it according to Yahweh's instruction, it is disobedience. Therefore, when certain laws, the conditions are missing, it is not abolished, it is only paused. And it's actually got to do with a different teaching. But we will read, those who have read the prophecies regarding the millennial reign will know that the feasts are being kept, that the sacrifices are being made, meaning that in the millennial reign, conditions for those things are back, are in place, and are fixed. Therefore, cannot be done away with if in the millennial reign we are doing them, meaning that for now, for a short period of time, we are pausing these conditions. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Loud and
Prophecy,
clear.
thank you, Michael. Prophecy is authority structures. Prophecy says authority structures would be disrupted. We've read earlier, Michael, if you will read to us again, Daniel 7, verse 25.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and to think to change the times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time, and times, and the dividing of a time.
So we understand this to be an end time prophecy, and we can already see that these conditions already exist for this to happen, because the Sabbaths are kept on the Sundays instead of the seventh days, the first days. We see that the doctrine of the world is to say that the law is done away with. It's not necessary. So changing time and times undermines legal obedience. Law tied to time becomes unenforceable. So laws tied to times is Moedim. It is feasts that have to be calculated on the right month, the right day, and even the right time. When you see the moon shine in the day, the time is not, because the scriptures clearly indicate that the moon is for the evening. Jubilees 6, verse 37.
For this reason the years shall come upon them, when they shall disturb the order, and make it an abominable day, the day of witness, and an unclean day, a feast day, and they shall confuse all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they shall go astray as to the months and Sabbaths and festivals and jubilees.
Here we clearly see exactly what we're talking about, that people will be going astray, that they will be celebrating a feast on an unclean day. We are given specific days of the year because those are clean days. The instruction is very clear. Yahweh is holy and we must be holy, and what he declares holy will be holy. And if we change that, we are doing it on unholy days. Feast days become misidentified, and authority to proclaim is corrupted. We are breaking the law if we are doing feast and proclaiming feast and assembling of feast if we cannot calculate the days. And I want to use an example. I've seen many brothers and sisters around the world trying to keep Sukkot, and then there's storms and rains that come and wash their tents away where they are keeping the feast. Can we start to see why?
Yes.
Those people are doing it out of their best, but that is to a lesson for them to learn that Yahweh rejects feast. We have to study and understand this very carefully. Do not accidentally sin. I can tell you now that Saul believed in his heart that what he did was right, and that with no question, Saul did love God. But even though he loved God, he still sinned because he took the matter into his own hands and moved beyond the appointed times and instruction God gave him. We cannot take it into our own hands. We have to make sure that we are always listening to Yahweh, not our own understanding. Let's quickly see. Once I go to Enoch, I'm a little weary, but 1 Enoch 80 verse 2.
And in the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's it.
And their seed shall be late on their lands and fields, and all of the earth shall alter, and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back, and the heaven shall withhold.
We see here clearly in Enoch that we are talking about a time where there is confusion when it comes to plant. There's confusion when the rain should come. There's confusion when it's years or when it's the right time. Corruption of timekeeping leads to false observances. This is very important for us to listen to what is happening here. There is error that is being made. And this is prophecy. Prophecy cannot be returned empty. We cannot say that we have calculated. We cannot say that we have figured it out, because that makes this prophecies we are reading void. It cancels a prophecy, meaning that Yahweh, who gave that prophecy, made a mistake. I am not going to declare that. No, thank you. Okay, so to conclude what we've been speaking about now in the Holy Convocations as binding legal appointments, Moedims are binding legal appointments. They require the correct time, the correct place, and the correct authority. Prophecy states that these structures would be altered, and when authority and time cannot be verified, the Holy Convocation cannot be lawfully proclaimed. A law that cannot be proclaimed lawfully cannot be performed lawfully. The prophetic disruption of time and law, when appointed times can no longer be identified. Times and laws are intertwined. We read, let's just read it again, because it's a very important prophecy in Daniel 7 verse 25. It is already in place.
Yes, it is. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change the times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and of dividing of time.
Here we see times and laws are mentioned together purposefully. Altering time affects the ability to keep the law. Moedim are laws that exist inside time. They are time sensitive. Read first Deuteronomy 5 verse 32.
You shall observe to do therefore as Yahweh your Elohim have commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left.
Here we have a clear instruction to be precise. Law requires precision. We cannot move it to the left. We cannot move it to the right. We have to be precise. Any deviation in time is a deviation in obedience. This is what we have to understand. If we move and change a little bit, we move that law, that feast, into disobedience. Oh, that's the word I always struggle with in English. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11.
Brother, I'm English, and I still struggle with that word, so don't feel bad. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work of Yahweh, make it from the beginning to the end.
Obedience is only valid in its appointed time. You can only be obedient if it's the time that Yahweh pointed out to you to be obedient. And the way and the place and everything, all the conditions must be met for you to be obedient. Otherwise, you are being disobedient. If one condition is missing, if you're not on the right place, you're being disobedient. Then you are doing sacrifices in the field to the field gods. You are not making or being obedient to Yahweh. Jubilees 1 verse 14.
And they shall forget all my Torah and all my commands and all my right rulings, and shall go astray as to new moons and Sabbaths and festivals and jubilees and laws.
that first chapter in Jubilees, it is so critical, because that is exactly where we are. Everyone has forgotten the law. They have forgotten the commandments. They have forgotten the judgments. They have gone astray for the new moons, the Sabbaths, and the festivals, and the Jubilees, and the ordinances. It is exactly the time we're finding ourselves in. It explicitly mentioned of the Sabbath, the festivals, and of course the Jubilees. Forgetting includes calendar reckoning. 1 Enoch 75 verse 2, I think that's the one where we had the confusion earlier on.
Yes, it is, because I can't even find anything about what it is that you read earlier, and that's concerning to me. Why wasn't it put in my Bible?
No, well, that's it's not a problem. It's still saying the same thing. Errors occurs in the monthly orders, making dates unreliable. We know that the Moedim is appointed. We know that we have to have, for instance, if we keep the Passover, we have to keep that in the first month on a certain day at a certain time at even. We know that there are precise time conditions that need to exist. If we miss one, we miss the feast. Ezekiel 22 verse 26.
Her priests have violated my law and have profaned my holy things. They have put no difference between the holy and the profane, neither have they showed differences between the unclean and the clean, and have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profaned among them.
So loss of distinction corrupts holy times. Authority to declare holy days is compromised. And when it is compromised, there is a problem if you are trying to keep it, because you are going to be doing it in disobedience. Calendars would be actively disrupted. Jubilees 6 verse 36.
For there shall be those who shall assuredly make observations of the moon. Now it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year 10 days too soon.
Here we have the prophecy that the moon will come in 10 days too soon. But those people making observations, they are claiming to know the right times and the right days. And they are teaching people to ignore certain texts, because they declare these texts invalid, because they will make what they are teaching invalid. But timekeeping itself becomes unstable according to prophecy. Anyone that says they are able to calculate is speaking against prophecy in Jubilees 6 verse 36. Seasons Moedim are displaced. Please read the next verse 37, Michael.
For this reason the years shall come upon them when they shall disturb the order, and make an abominable day, the day of witness, and an unclean day, a feast day, and they shall confuse all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they shall go astray as to the months and the Sabbaths and the festivals and the Jubilees.
Here we can clearly see holy days are misidentified. Lawful days are replaced with unlawful ones. There is confusion between clean and unclean, and it becomes messy. Proverbs 22 verse 28.
Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set.
Altering time boundaries is forbidden. Calendar manipulation violates Torah principle. It's adding and removing if you are manipulating the calendar. Loss of authority to proclaim appointed times. Lamentations 2 verse 9.
Her gates are sunk into the ground. He hath destroyed and broken her bars. Her king and her princes are among the Gentiles. The law is no more. Her prophets also find no vision from Yahweh.
Law cannot function without authority. Authority only comes with obedience. No vision, no proclamation. Hosea 2, verse 11.
I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts.
Here we see Yahweh himself holds feast observances, indicates conditions would fail. All right, this is a clear capturing of historic moment where Yahweh shows us an example of feast observances being halted because it indicates also the conditions would fail. Please read Hosea 2 to get more context. I'm not sure if we're going to align this one. Baruch 1 verse 13.
Yeah, I was just seeing if this would line right up, but it says on my version, it says, "Pray for us also unto Yahweh our Elohim, for we have sinned against Yahweh our Elohim, and unto this day the fury of Yahweh and his wrath is not turned from us." Yeah, I don't think that's.
No, I'll just read the one I just. We've got so many different versions. I mean, I've got so many different versions of Baruch. But I'll read the one I took this from. We are brought low this day, and I am distressed because of the curse and the punishment which the Lord hath brought upon us. National judgment interrupts national obedience. Moedim require national order, meaning Israel needs to function in an ordered society to be able to keep a Moedim. Can you see why Moedims cannot be kept while we are busy with an awakening? Because there is no national order. This is one of the conditions that has to be met when it comes to the feasts. Only one of the feasts, and we will discuss that just now, we are able to keep in this ordered time. But for now, all other feasts require national obedience. Israel needs to be obedient for us to be able to keep. This is a very important condition. Exodus 25, verse 9.
According to all that I show you, after the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so you shall make it.
Torah obedience requires an exact pattern. Approximation is not obedience. We cannot work on approximation. If we have to use approximation, we must rather press pause because we can err in our ways. Deuteronomy 12, verse 32.
What things soever I command you, observe to do it, that you shall not add thereunto, nor diminish from it.
Guessing a date or not being able to calculate means adding to the scriptures. Adjusting calendars equals diminishing of the law. Isaiah 1 verse 12.
When you come to appear before me, who has required this at your hand to tread my courts?
Yeah, Yahweh asks a very good question. Yahweh is saying he rejects unauthorized worship. It has to be authorized. It has to fit in with his criteria that he has, or the conditions that he has laid out to us. And we carefully have to meet those conditions. From prophecy to Torah, appointed times depends on accurate calendars, recognized authorities, and distinguishable holy days. Prophecy states that these things would be disrupted. Therefore, the inability to identify the time nullifies the execution of the command. Obedience cannot exist where certainty has been removed. The calendar crisis, false reckoning, and the inability to lawfully count appointed times. Please read for us Exodus 12, verse 2.
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
The year begins by Yahweh's declaration. Months must be identifiable. Feast depends on knowing the first month. Leviticus 23, verse 16.
Even unto the tomorrow, at the seventh Sabbath, you shall number 50 days, and you shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahweh.
Shavuot requires precise counting. If the start is uncertain, if we are unable to calculate the first month, the count will be invalid. Every feast that follows there would be wrong if we are unable to calculate the first day of the first month of the year. Leviticus 25, verse 8 to 9.
And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years. And the space of 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto you 49 years. Then shall you cause the trumpet of the Jubilees to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month, and the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land.
Jubilees require accurate sabbatical cycles, long-term uninterrupted counting. Any break invalidates this cycle. Today, we are unable to calculate any of these cycles. We are unable to calculate the first day of the year, the first month of the year, because remember, the prophecy said the moon is coming in 10 days too late. 10 days too late from what? We are unable to calculate the precise timing of any of the feasts. Mixing or altering timekeeping is strictly forbidden. Deuteronomy 4, verse 2.
You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you.
Altering calendars equals adding or diminishing. Torah does not authorize substitute systems. We do not have substitution to Torah. Torah is the only rule. If the conditions are not met, we pause. Deuteronomy 19, verse 14.
You shall not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in your inheritance, which you shall inherit in the land that Yahweh your Elohim giveth you to possess it.
Time boundaries are landmarks. Changing them violates Torah principle. Proverbs 20, verse 10.
Diverse weights and diverse measures, both of them are alike abomination to Yahweh.
False measures apply to time as well. They are abomination to Yahweh. Mixed calendars equals false measures. Calendar reckoning would be corrupted. We read this in Jubilees 6, verse 35. Read it again for us, Michael.
For I know, and from henceforth will I declare it unto you, that it is not of my own devising, for the book lies written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles after the error and after their ignorance.
So here we see that years become dislodged. Seasons, Moedim, no longer align. And we see this today, very clear in front of our eyes. Jubilees 6, verse 36.
For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year, 10 days too soon.
Lunar observation causes drift because the moon alone or the sun alone cannot function as an indicator. They have to work together according to scripture. You cannot calculate the one without the other. Feast days move out of season. Not only feast days, but people are planting in the wrong season. The rains are coming in the wrong season. These are all prophecies being fulfilled. Holy days would be misidentified. We see this in Jubilees 6, verse 37.
Hold on one second. For this reason, the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees.
Here we see holy and profane reversed. We see feast proclaimed on unlawful days. And Ezekiel 7 verse 23. Ezekiel 7 verse 26, sorry.
Ezekiel 7, verse 26.
Yes, Ezekiel 7 verse 26.
For some reason that's not showing up here. I'm sorry. Mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest, and the counsel from the ancients.
We see a loss of legal authority and no reliable declaration of time. Lamentations 2 verse 6.
And he hath violently taken away his tabernacle, as if were of a garden. He hath destroyed his places of assembly, and Yahweh hath caused the solemn feast and the Sabbaths to be forgotten in Zion, and hath despised in the indignation of his anger the king and the priest.
We see something very, very interesting here. Here, Yahweh caused the feast and the Sabbath to be forgotten in Zion. Out of Zion, his law will go forth. This is saying that forgetting the feast equals a loss of calendar memory, and this is done purposefully to have a specific act when meaning when it comes to awakening. This is testing or a test of obedience. At the end of days, Yahweh wants to make sure those who declare that they love him, he wants to know that they will love him. Historical reality aligns with prophecy. Daniel 12 verse 4.
But you, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
That is exactly what is happening today. We're running up and down, looking at this, and we are making mistakes, and we have grace for this, but we are learning. We are learning what we are seeing today, that this is how we keep the Torah. This is how we understand the law, is by all of this happening, and knowledge is being increased because we are persistently digging into this obedience, digging in how to do it and how to keep it. And we are ending up where we are tonight, getting greater understanding of how to understand what is happening in this current time, with our ability to understand what these conditions need to be met for us to be able to keep. And if we cannot be met, we are pausing. We are understanding the Torah in a very knowledgeable level.
It's a beautiful thing, too.
It is. It's absolutely. Please read for us Amos 3 verse 7.
Surely Yahweh your Elohim will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophets.
And where are we getting our answers? Where are we getting the knowledge that is increasing in us? Where are we getting this understanding? Is it not from the law and the prophets? Prophets warned beforehand. Confusion was not accidental. These things were caught were written up in the Old Testament, as the churches call it, which they do not want the people to read. But this is where our knowledge and understanding unfolds. Here's that big English word again. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 15.
That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered.
Broken counts cannot be repaired retroactively. Lost time cannot be reconstructed. So let's make a conclusion from the Torah, from the prophets, from the writings, from the Apocrypha. Appointed times require accurate counting. Altered calendars are forbidden. Prophecy states calendars would be corrupted. holy days would be misidentified, and long-term counts like Shavuot and Jubilees cannot be recovered. Where counting is uncertain, obedience must pause. Yahweh never commands his people to obey by approximation. He is very, very, very persistent in telling us that we have to be accurate in how we keep his laws and commands, because he is holy and we must be holy. To do this means that we are doing something that is holy on an unholy day, like the prophecies we have learned, and therefore we are doing it by approximation, and we are becoming disobedient. Now we're getting to the area where we're looking at the principle of paused law, when obedience requires waiting. That is where we are now. That is everything that we have established up to now, is that conditions cannot be met. We have to wait. The Torah establishes that laws operate by conditions. Deuteronomy 12, verse 13 to 14.
Take heed to yourself that you offer not your burnt offerings in every place that you see, but in the place which Yahweh shall choose, in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you.
So if a place is missing, the command cannot be executed. Torah itself restricts obedience to these conditions. Deuteronomy 17, verse 9.
And you shall come unto the priest and Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment.
So legal rulings require a priest, a judge, and active authority. Deuteronomy 15, verse 1.
And at the end of every 7 years you shall make a release.
Sabbatical laws require uninterrupted counting. If counting is broken, execution is impossible. No one was able or has been counting the sabbatical years. We have got absolute no idea when a sabbatical year, Jubilee, when these things are taking place. It is complete guessing at this moment. We will know when our two witnesses come. They will be able to tell us what is the correct times, because when they come, they will be bringing back the hearts of the children to the Father, meaning they will be fixing this broken links in our obedience when it comes to feasts and sacrifices and specific appointed times. The Torah shows that unauthorized obedience is rejected. Leviticus 10, verse 1.
And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense therein, and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he hath commanded them not.
Here we see two priests doing exactly what they were not commanded to do. An action without authorization results in judgment. Sincerity does not replace the commandments of Yahweh. He can see my heart. Does not replace the commandments of Yahweh. Disobedience remains disobedience. It's black and white writing. It is not changed. Deuteronomy 12, verse 32.
What things soever I command you, observe to do it, that you shall not add thereto, nor diminish from it.
Improvisation is forbidden. Guessing dates or location violates Torah. If there's an uncertainty, we have to pause, period, because we would rather pause than be in transgression of the command. Isaiah 1, verse 12.
When you come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand, to tread on my courts?
Yahweh rejects self-appointed obedience. Period. Prophets confirm that Yahweh himself pauses certain laws. All right. We go to Isaiah 2, verse 11 again.
I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts.
Here we see Yahweh upholds observances, which means he's pausing them. If we read Isaiah 2, we will see that this is because it indicates suspended conditions. Not all conditions can be met. So he will cause them to cease these things, and he holds the observances. Lamentations 2, verse 6.
And he hath violently taken away his tabernacle, as if it were of a garden. He hath destroyed his places of the assembly, and Yahweh hath caused the solemn feast and the Sabbaths to be forgotten in Zion, and hath despised in the indignation of his anger the king and the priest.
Here we see that this is for getting these feasts is not a rebellion, but this was a judgment for disobedience. It is also prophesied, and prophecy cannot be wrong, but Yahweh hath caused them to be forgotten in Zion. Law cannot function without remembrance. Ezekiel 22, verse 26.
Her priests have violated my law and have profaned my holy things. They have put no difference between the holy and profane, neither have they showed difference between the unclean and the clean, and have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profaned among them.
So a breakdown of priesthood also holds lawful service. So we have looked at every single condition, priesthood, time, counting. If one of these conditions are not met, it is halted. We've also seen that Yahweh causes it to be forgotten. Yahweh has caused it to be halted because not all conditions can be met in those times where Israel is still scattered. Scattered is the key that we have to hear, that we are scattered, meaning location is consistently missing. That is the first condition, location, where Yahweh gives to us. Because that condition is missing, all feasts need to be paused, but only one appointed time is still identifiable. And we can keep that one. We'll get to that now. Waiting is Torah obedient. So that means waiting is a Torah obedience. It's not apostasy. Leviticus 16, verse 31.
It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls by a statute forever.
Even Day of Atonement requires a high priest, and it requires a sanctuary. Without them, the statute cannot be enacted. Proverbs 16, verse 32.
He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city.
Restraint is strength. Torah obedience includes restraint, to keep and hold back when you know something should not be done. That is strength. 2 Esdras 4, verse 37.
By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times. And he doeth not move nor stir them until the said measures be fulfilled.
So here we see time itself must be discerned. Action without clarity is forbidden. Yahweh is in charge of these times. Yahweh knows when things will be unpaused, if I can put it like that. Restoration will reactivate the laws. Deuteronomy 4, verse 29.
But if from there you shall seek Yahweh your Elohim, you shall find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul.
Yeah, we see when we have that nationality of Israel coming together, when Israel becomes obedient, the paused laws can anticipate restoration, and We can assume, that's why assume these laws. That is why we will see that in the prophecies of the millennial reign, these laws are unpaused because the conditions will be met. Zechariah 8 verse 4.
Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. That's good. I like that.
But that means restoration includes a location, a people, and an order. When the restoration happens, we can unpause. We can unpause these things that are paused today. Jubilees 1 verse 15.
And I will disclose to them abounding peace with righteousness, and I will remove them the plant of uprightness with all my heart and with all my soul, and they shall be for a blessing and not for a curse, and they shall be the head and not the tail.
This means there is restoration that has happened. Laws resume when conditions return. That means when the witnesses come to accomplish their task, the Messiah comes to accomplish his prophecies, there will be a restoration. Israel will be a nationality able to be obedient. Appointed times will be shown out. Appointed places will be given, and everything will be able to resume. Laws will be able to resume when the conditions return. So let's look at the conclusion. Laws require conditions. Acting without conditions is disobedience. Yahweh himself pauses laws in judgment. Waiting is lawful obedience, and restoration will reactivate all the commands, all the times, and all the laws that were on pause. Torah obedience includes knowing when not to act. The faithful servant obeys both the commandment and the restraint. The Sabbath, the only appointed time, is still fully identifiable. The Sabbath is established at creation, before calendars. Please read for us Genesis 2, verse 2 to 3.
And on the seventh day, Yahweh ended his work which he hath made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he hath made. And Yahweh blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Yahweh created and made.
So here we see the Sabbath predates Israel, predates the temple, predates the priesthood, and predates the calendar systems. It is embodied in the creation order. Exodus 20, verse 8.
Oh, I skipped one. I jumped ahead, brother. My apologies.
No problem.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Remember implies it already existed. It is not introduced at tonight, but recalled. Mark 2, verse 27.
And he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath.
Sabbath applies universally, not dependent on national institutions. The Sabbath is self-identifying by work cycle. Exodus 20, verse 9 to 10.
6 days you shall labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it you shall not do any work. You nor your son, nor your daughter, your maidservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates.
No calculation is required. 6 days thou shalt labor and do thy work. But on the seventh day is the Sabbath. The seventh day, 1 to 7, 1 to 7. From the beginning of time, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sabbath day. 1, 2, 3. Even when the calendars were changed in the 1500s, where they went from the 15th to the 21st, the 15th was on the third day, The 21st was on the 4th day. If you count 1 to 7, the Saturday always remained, or the 7th day always remained, even in the calendars today. The truth is still shown to you by Sunday being marked as the first day on every calendar. The 7th day is always a Saturday. We can see this. The breadcrumbs have always been left to us. That is why repeatedly the Sabbath is the feast called to be kept. The Sabbath is the feast called to be the sign between you and Yahweh. The Sabbath is the one that you will know that you are able to fully keep, because there will be identifiers. It is not a moving target. It is consistent and persistent. It cannot be on a Wednesday today, on a Thursday tomorrow, because that implies that God is a moving target that is not persistent. It must be persistent. Defined by 6 days of work and 1 day of rest. You can ask any artificial intelligence to calculate that for you, and it will calculate precisely 1 to 7. It cannot, it doesn't care about years, it doesn't care about calendars, it doesn't care about Enoch years, it doesn't care about Roman years. It is 1 to 7. It stays a consistent calculation. Leviticus 23, verse 3.
6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th is the Sabbath of rest, and the holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings.
Sabbath is independent of months. Sabbath is independent of new moons. Sabbath is independent of feast cycles. Jubilees 2, verse 17.
And he gave us a great sign, the Sabbath day, that we should work 6 days, but keep Sabbath on the 7th day from all work.
Sabbath is a sign defined by continuous weekly cycles. That is our saving grace. That it is not connected to any other calculation, but for 6 days you shall work, on the 7th you shall rest. These 7 days have been carried on from the first day that came into existence on this earth until now. 1 to 7 has continuously cycled, and it is shown today. Even the Antichrist system will declare out of its own mouth that they moved the Sabbath day from the 7th day to the first day of the week. They are not lying to us. The Sabbath does not require a temple or a priesthood. Leviticus 23, verse 3.
6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings.
Here is the location. We are sitting in our dwellings. We are able to keep the Sabbath in our houses. We are able to keep the Sabbath within our dwellings. The location is doable. The location is a condition that we can meet. Unlike feast, no pilgrimage is required, no altar is required, and no sacrifices are required for observance. Isaiah 58, verse 13 to 14.
If you turn away your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of Yahweh, honorable, and I shall honor him, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words, then shall you delight yourself in Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it.
Oh, it's so important to keep the Sabbath these days, especially the days we are in today. Sabbaths can be kept anywhere. It requires personal obedience, not infrastructure. All the conditions of Sabbath can be met. Isaiah 56, verse 2.
Blessed is the man that does this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keeping the Sabbath from polluting it, and keeping his hand from doing any evil.
Prophet to prophecy, we see the Sabbath as the one that's the indicator, defining the set-apart people, the one the remnant can keep. Individual accountability is with the Sabbath, and no institutional dependency relies on it. The Sabbath is the one identified Moedim appointed time that will be fully identifiable. Prophecy confirms that the Sabbath would remain. Isaiah 66 verse 23.
And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from the Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh.
So here we see that the Sabbath continues beyond exile, beyond judgment, into future restoration. Jubilees 2 verse 31.
And the Creator of all things blessed it, but he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to keep Sabbath thereon, but Israel alone, them alone he permitted to eat and drink and to keep Sabbath thereon on the earth.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Do you know who you are today if you are keeping the Sabbath? If you are keeping the Sabbath, do you know who you are? Only except for Israel alone. The Sabbath preserved even when other laws falter, guarded by divine decree for a chosen nation, a chosen remnant. Oh, remnant, awake and keep your Sabbath. Keep your Sabbath, the only appointed time, still fully identifiable. Matthew 24, verse 20.
But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
What is the Messiah saying here? What day, what feast will we know?
The
He is
Sabbath.
saying that the Sabbath, still operative in the end time prophecy. The Messiah himself declares this, assumes continued observance will be taking place in that time. Are we keeping our Sabbath?
Yes.
Unlike the, of course we are. Yes, brother. Unlike the feast, the Sabbath is not paused. Exodus 31 verse 13.
Speak you also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbath you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yahweh, that do sanctify you.
Sabbath is a sign, not a ceremony. Throughout your generations equals uninterrupted. Uninterrupted. Ezekiel 20 verse 12.
Moreover, I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am Yahweh, their Elohim.
Even in judgment, the sign of the Sabbath remains. Hebrew 4 verse 9.
There remaineth therefore a Sabbath to the people of Yahweh.
Weekly rest continues, not abolished, not suspended, not paused. So in conclusion, from all the witnesses, the Sabbath was established at creation, is self-identifying, requires no calendar calculation, requires no temple or priesthood, is affirmed in prophecy. So no man saying to you that the Sabbath is calculated at different times cannot count 1 to 7. That is the only calculation. The Sabbath alone meets all conditions for lawful obedience today. Where certainty remains, obedience remains. We are obliged to keep the Sabbath. Overview of the appointed times, the Moedim. Declared appointments and their present status. Yahweh declares all appointed times together. Leviticus 23, verse 4.
These are the feast of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
All Moedim originate from one source. Each feast is distinct but governed by the same legal standard. Leviticus 23, verse 3 to 4.
6 days shall you work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings. These are the feast of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons.
The Sabbath is listed first. All other Moedim follow afterward. It indicates the hierarchy of the foundation of this feast day, of the Sabbath. Psalm 104, verse 19.
He appointed the moon for seasons, the sun knoweth his going down.
So the Moedim depends on lunar and seasonal reckoning. It requires the moon and the suns for calculation. Distinction exists between Sabbath and feast days. Clearly, the Sabbath is identifiable and the feast days need seasons and lunar and solar calculations to be calculated. Leviticus 23, verse 5 to 34. I'm just going to do a summary of this, Michael. I'm not going to make you read all of this. You people at home are more than welcome to read Leviticus 23, verse 5 to 34. In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Passover. And on the 15th day on the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of the Weeks, the memorial of blowing the trumpets, the Day of Atonement, the Feast of Tabernacles. The Moedim covered the Sabbath, the Passover, the unleavened bread, the Shavuot, which is the Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and of course, the Day of Tabernacles. Each time has its appointed own conditions. Leviticus 18, verse 3. Michael?
After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt, shall you not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall you not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances.
So Yahweh defines how his days are kept. Yahweh defines how his law is kept. Cultural imitation is forbidden. We are not allowed to do what Egypt did. We are not allowed to do what the Canaanites did. We must do what Yahweh commands us to do. Leviticus 18, verse 5.
Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahweh.
Do implies lawful execution. Impossible execution suspends the action. If you are unable to meet the condition, it is paused. Jubilees 6, verse 17.
For this reason it is ordained and written on the heavenly tablets that they should celebrate the Feast of Weeks in this month once a year to renew the covenant every year.
Each feast has a fixed heavenly ordinance. Alteration indicates or invalidates execution. But this also means that these are written in the heavenly tablets, and if the witnesses come, they come with that information, which is good for us. It will be restored. Deuteronomy 16, verse 18.
Judges and officers shall you make thee in all your gates, which Yahweh your Elohim giveth you throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment.
So this we see that honest assessment of ability is required. False observance is unrighteousness judgment. So when we falsely observe, falsely proclaim observers, we are unrighteous in our judgment. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 40.
Let all things be done decently and in order.
Order requires knowledge, authority, and conditions. 2 Esdras 4, verse 26.
Then answered he me and said, the more you searchest, the more you shall marvel, for the world has fast to pass away.
Mine reads a
What?
little different.
Hold on,
The
let me
world,
make sure. What was it? Well, no, I was right.
2 Esdras 4 verse 26.
Yeah, that's what it says. Then answered he me and said, the more you search, the more you will marvel, for the world has fast to pass away.
Well, okay.
That's just what it says, man. Sorry.
No, you
Want
have
me
to
to read a
understand.
different translation?
No. It's going to meet the same thing. There's you see that when it comes to the English, I have to read read my notes because I'm relying on my notes because this the language is very difficult for me to understand,
That's okay.
especially in this time of the evening. My airtime on English is running very low. But all right, but let's move
You
on. The
just had
point.
my wife over here cracking up, by the way.
She knows what I mean.
Got it.
We work on airtime here in South Africa when it comes to English. All right, so let's quickly look at the declared statuses of the appointed times. Okay, so if we take the Sabbath status, it is active according to Leviticus 23 verse 3. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings. Remember, the feasts and jubilees status is paused due to unmet conditions. Conditions missing is an identifiable calendar. Recognized authority to proclaim. The chosen place is missing. The functioning priesthood and a verifiable long-term counting. Can you see how many conditions are missing from the other feasts and the jubilees? Hosea
Yep.
2 verse 11, Michael.
I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbath, and all her solemn feasts.
Yeah, we also, just to highlight here, we see that her Sabbaths, also we have to look at the Jubilees years and the sabbatical years. These are also Sabbaths. So when they are missing, but the Sabbath day itself is not part of those Sabbath years and Jubilee years, right? Yahweh himself holds the feast
Lost you, brother.
observances. And remember, he only shows one nation.
I said we lost you, brother. It cut out for a good couple seconds.
Where did we?
You were
What was I
explaining the
saying?
7-year Sabbaths versus the Sabbath day itself.
Yeah, the Sabbath day is not forgotten. The Sabbath day will be made known, but the sabbatical years and the jubilees will be missing from calculations. They will not be able to be calculated because they are part of the Moedim feast, which are seasonally counted and calculated and must be accurately counted. They were not able to do that, so they are missing. Those are the Sabbaths being talking about here, but the Sabbath day will be known to Israel. These Yahweh himself halted these feast observances. All right, so let's go to conclusion. All Moedim are holy and binding in origin. Only those within intact conditions can be practiced. The Sabbath alone meets all criteria today. Each feast will be studied to know it, not to counterfeit it. Faithfulness includes restraint, accuracy, and hope for restoration. Passover and unleavened bread, the first appointed feast and its required conditions. So we will look at the Passover as a study to see how we can study all the feasts and identify their conditions. All right. Passover is a direct command of Yahweh. Exodus 12, verse 1 to 2.
And Yahweh spoke unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months, and it shall be the first month of the year to you.
All right, so we see here that Passover requires identification of the first month, authority to declare the year. This authority was given to Moses and the Aaron and the Levites to declare. All right, so we are missing these conditions where we are able to calculate the first month, and we are unable to, or we don't have authority to declare the year. Leviticus 23, verse 5.
And the 14th day of the first month at evening is Yahweh's Passover.
So here we see the command is date specific. All right, we are unable to meet the first criteria. We are unable to calculate the 14th day of the first month. Without certainty of the month, the feast cannot be lawfully kept. All right, here we can see the Passover cannot be lawfully kept with these conditions. Exodus 12, verse 14.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahweh throughout your generations. You shall keep it. It is a feast by ordinance forever.
Forever assumes conditions remain intact, but Torah elsewhere shows laws pause when conditions fail. We've read this. Passover requires a chosen place. Deuteronomy 16, verse 5 to 6.
You may not sacrifice the Passover with any of your gates which Yahweh your God giveth you, but at the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose to place his name in. There you shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the season that you camest forth out of Egypt.
All right, so when they say you may not sacrifice the Passover with any of thy gates, that means you not do the Passover at your yard, on your farm, on your... These are your gates, within your gates, but it must be a place that Yahweh will choose to have his name. So private or scattered observance is forbidden. Centralization is a legal requirement. Yahweh must choose the place his name is in. We cannot choose on behalf of Yahweh. We are sinning like Saul did. Deuteronomy 12, verse 5 to 6.
But unto the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall you seek, and thither you shall come. And there you shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithes and heave offerings of your hand and your vows and your freewill offerings and your firstlings of your herds and of your flocks.
So here we see even the tithing has to comply to conditions. No chosen place, no lawful sacrifice, period, not negotiable. Psalm 122, verse 3 to 4.
Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compact together. Whither the tribes go up, the tribes of Yahweh, unto the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of Yahweh.
Here we hear that Passover is tied to a national gathering. It is tied to Israel being in obedience and gathering together. Dispersion or scattering of Israel disrupts lawful execution. We are unable to keep this feast in the state where Israel finds it today, scattered amongst the Gentiles, scattered amongst the nations, being far away from any location that God has chosen to put his name. Passover requires sacrifice and priesthood. Exodus 12, verse 6.
And you shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall unalive it in the evening. Sorry, I said unalive. Let's just have it out of TikTok.
It's all right. On this platform, we can say kill without having no repercussions. Leviticus 1, verse 5. I don't know if you've ever listened to me when I speak on TikTok, but I never use the word unalive. They can more ban me for speaking.
It's just a habit of, I've been hit with restrictions because of it, so I made it a habit, and it's still a habit no matter where I go now.
No, I completely understand. Every time I use the word kill or death on my TikTok, my screen starts giving those warnings.
Yep.
But I don't like TikTok, so I don't mind being banned from there.
I don't really care much for TikTok anymore either. A lot of evil on that app.
Completely, yeah. Leviticus 1 verse 5.
Uh, and you shall kill the bullock before Yahweh, and the priest, Aaron's son, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood round about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
All right, this applies to sacrificial law governing Passover offerings. All right. Ezekiel 7 verse 26.
Mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then they shall seek a vision of a prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest, and the counsel from the ancients.
Without a priesthood, sacrificial law cannot function. You cannot sacrifice without priest. That is a law. I'm thinking of so many meaty subjects at the moment when it comes to this.
Especially
Especially
knowing it's a parable.
yes, and yeah, I'll tell you things when you come about Cain and Abel and this specific thing, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Yeah, but that's for another day. Unleavened bread is inseparably linked to Passover. Leviticus 23, verse 6.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread.
Depending on knowing it, the same month, the correct starting day. So if you cannot calculate the Passover, you will not be able to calculate the unleavened bread. And so forth it goes for all the feasts. Exodus 12, verse 19.
7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be stranger or born in the land. Again, meaty, very meaty there.
Yeah. Requires synchronized national obedience. Here we see that Israel must be obedient. Being scattered amongst all the nations is not a synchronized national obedience. Impossible without a unified calendar. Many conditions missing again. Jubilees 49, verse 1 to 2.
You have to hold on one second, brother. For some reason, it changed on me. And I don't. It did it all on its own, so I got a little behind there. My apologies. 49,
No problem.
technology, man. Remember the commandment which Yahweh commanded thee concerning the Passover, that you should celebrate it in its season on the 14th of the first month, that you should kill it before its evening, and that they should eat it by night on the evening on the 15th from the time of the setting of the sun. For on it this night, the beginning of the festival and the beginning of the joy, you were eating the Passover in Egypt, when all the powers of Mastema had been let loose to slay all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the captive maidservant in the mill to the cattle.
Here we see it confirms the Torah structure and it reinforces fixed timing. While we're on Jubilees, do you mind just reading me Jubilees 50, verse 1?
50 verse 1? Sure. Let me get back over there. And after this law, I made known to you the days of the Sabbaths in the desert of Sinai, which is between Elam and Sinai.
So if you know who gave the law to Moses on the mountain of Mount Sinai, if you know who that person is, you also know who the person is who wrote Jubilees. It's just interesting to see who
Yes.
the author of Jubilees is.
Oh, I picked it up.
So let's move on. Prophecy, Passover would cease due to conditions. Hosea 2 verse 11, we have seen that Yahweh or the Passover is included in the Passover feast, or explicitly as a feast, ne? And Michael's going to read for us just to remind us again, Hosea 2, verse 11.
I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbath, and all her solemn feasts.
So here we can see that the Passover is explicitly as a feast, but we see that it requires a new moon to calculate the month. We have to be able to calculate many things to be able to identify the Passover, right? Lamentations 2, verse 6.
And he hath violently taken away his tabernacle as if it were of a garden. He hath destroyed his places of the assembly, and Yahweh hath caused the solemn feast and the Sabbaths to be forgotten in Zion, and hath despised in the indignation of his anger the king and the priest.
So if Yahweh has caused us to forget, or has caused forgetting, that equals the inability to identify timing. So their condition cannot be met. Jubilees 1, verse 14.
And after this, they will turn to me from amongst the Gentiles with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength. And I will gather them from amongst all the Gentiles, and they will seek me, so that I shall be found of them when they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul.
These things will be made if people seek Yahweh, right? Calendar failure halts feast observances. All right. So let's see what conditions are missing from the Passover. All right. So why the Passover is presently paused? Because we said if conditions are missing, it is paused. All right. So we've seen that is the first condition that cannot be met is the identifiable first month. The second condition is there's no unified calendar. This third condition is there's no chosen place. Fourth condition, there's no altar. Fifth condition, there's no priesthood. Sixth condition, there's no national assembly of Israel. It is impossible to keep Passover, even if you are able to calculate the first month. Create a unified calendar. There is still no chosen place. There is still no chosen altar. There is no priesthood, and there's no assembly of Israel. Can you see that even if you are able to calculate the time, the conditions are still all not met to be able to keep the Passover? So if someone says to you, but they have calculated the time, they are ignoring that there must be a chosen place. There's an altar where Yahweh will choose to place his name, and there's a priesthood who must make that sacrifice, and you need Israel in national obedience to do so.
It's beautiful.
Deuteronomy 12, verse 32.
What things soever I command you, observe to do it. You shall not add thereto, nor diminish from it.
Symbolic or altered observance is forbidden. I know many people, I do desire to keep these feasts. I was once at a point where I tried keeping these feasts until I noticed that it's a moving target. I'm always making a mistake. And this has led me to the study to see that, oh, wait a minute, there are many conditions missing. And when conditions are missing, I have to pause. I have to restrain myself in obedience, even though my desire to keep it is very, very strong, because I desire to keep every word my God commands me to do. But I cannot do it if conditions are missing. So from the Torah and prophets and Apocrypha, Passover and unleavened bread are commanded, holy, and binding in origin. It's a forever thing, but they require precise time, centralized worship, and of course a sacrificial system with everything that goes with that. And prophecy states that these conditions will fail. Therefore, Passover and unleavened bread, like the other feasts, are currently paused. It's not rejected, not replaced, not abolished, not redefined. It is only paused. We study the feast so then when it returns, we will be able to recognize it. We will be able to keep it because we will know what to do. But we will also know that all the conditions that are missing now must be in place for us to keep it. So we cannot be tricked into keeping a false feast. This is how we must study every feast. Like we just did the Passover, we must go to the weeks of the Pentecost, and we must make sure that all these conditions are missing. I'm not going to go into every feast today. We're just going to scroll over um, the method demonstrated through the Passover, which we've just done. In Exodus 25, verse 40, all things must be done according to the pattern sowed to thee. We must follow the same principles that we followed now to meet these conditions before we can go to a feast. Using Passover and unleavened bread, we demonstrated that the command is clear, the time is defined, the conditions are specific, the sacrifices are required, the location is very restricted, and the present status can be honestly declared. This same method will now be applied to every appointed time, and we will see um, in these categories of examination, each feast will be examined under the same categories without exception. A command is given, where the command is written, who it is commanded to, whether it is individual, national, or priestly. We see that there's a time defined, appointed time, a month, a day, a sequence, or accounting, like with sabbaticals and jubilees. Required conditions are met, calendar certainty, authority to proclaim it, like Levite or priestly authority or appointed persons, and of course a national unity where required, where Israel needs to be in obedience or encamped around it. And of course we will see the associated sacrifices, which can only be done by priests, where the sacrifice is commanded, where the priesthood is required, and whether an altar is required, or a place where Yahweh has put his name. Location requirements, of course, if it's a centralized worship, prohibited private alternatives. We are not allowed to do it the way we want to. Current status, or we think we have to. Current status, to every single thing, there is a season. For each feast will be declared as keepable, all conditions met or paused. One or more conditions are missing. It is a keepable feast when all conditions are met, like the Sabbath. We are able to keep the weekly Sabbath. But all other feasts are paused due to one or more condition that is missing. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just taking a breather.
Go ahead, brother.
All right. So we apply one law, we use one standard, and we do not change the method for any feast. We do not alter a feast to fit with our timing to make it happen. That is like making sacrifices like Saul did. He forced instead of waited. He forced instead of restrained himself, and for that he was disobedient. Lawful obedience is not selective obedience. What this teaching is not saying, we are not saying the feasts are abolished, the law has failed, or Yahweh's appointments are irrelevant. We are free to redefine obedience. This is not what we are saying. The law of Yahweh is perfect. Psalm 19, verse 7. What this teaching is saying. Deuteronomy 12, verse 32, Michael.
What things soever I command you, observe to do it. You shall not add thereto, nor diminish from it.
We are recognizing which laws can be kept lawfully under present conditions. Why this matters. Unauthorized obedience is disobedience. Leviticus 10, verse 1.
And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein and put incense therein and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he commanded them not.
So we see again unauthorized obedience is disobedience. Guessing is adding. Deuteronomy 4, verse 2.
You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you.
Guessing puts you in a state of adding or diminishing. Imitation is not obedience. Imitation is not obedience. Mark 7, verse 7.
Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
If you are doing it out of yourself and not according to Torah, it is a commandment of men. Obedience includes restraint. Proverbs 16, verse 32.
He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city.
Obedience includes waiting. Lamentations 3, verse 26.
It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of Yahweh.
Hallelujah. Obedience includes faithfulness. Revelation 14, verse 12.
Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yeshua.
Patience of the saints, né? Because that requires restraint. Final declaration. We do not obey by approximation. We do not obey by replacement, and we do not obey by simulation. We, however, obey by the truth, by accuracy, and by faith waiting. Isaiah 30, verse 18.
And therefore will Yahweh wait, that he may be gracious unto you, and therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For Yahweh is Elohim of judgment. Blessed are all they that wait for him.
So let's look at what has been established by what we have done today. Yahweh alone appoints time. Moedim seasons are binding legal appointments. Laws require conditions to be met. Prophecy states those conditions would fail. Torah forbids substitution. The Sabbath alone remains fully identifiable, and feasts are paused, not rejected or abolished, and restoration will reactivate them. Psalm 94, verse 14.
I can't see those, brother, so you will have to holler at, well, tell me what you want me to read for you. 94 what?
Sorry, it's Psalm 94, verse 14.
14. For the master will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the closing statement today, we study the law today so that we can walk in it tomorrow. We still study everything that is paused because the feasts aren't the only laws that are being paused. But we still study them because they will be restored and reactivated. And then we, as a National Assembly of Israel, will have to adhere to them.
May I say something?
Of course you may.
You know, guys, just like what Bernard's been saying here, we're currently in a status of consuming unleavened bread until morning. And let's be found with no leaven in our houses, guys.
Hallelujah. Right, that is the end of today's topic. Hopefully, I'm aiming at creating an understanding of the law more than just the law itself. Because if we understand the law, it's easier to keep it. For instance, if we look at why we are not allowed to eat pork, if I'd say to you, you're not allowed to eat pork without the understanding that pork will make you sick, that pork carries parasites and harmful conditions to men, knowing that it carries parasites and harmful conditions to men, we will not eat pork because we do not want to harm ourselves. But not knowing that raises the question, why should I not eat pork? The same with the feast. Why should I not? There's a lot of people going around saying that we will not go into the kingdom if we do not keep the feasts. But here, scripture has shown us upon scripture declaring that we are not abolishing it. We're not keeping it. We are pausing it because conditions are not right. We will actually be disobedient, forcing to keep it. Sorry, Michael, you were saying?
No, you had cut out, so I thought you had paused. So I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Is there any questions on this topic? Please feel free to ask. There we go. All right. Do people feel that there was value in today's topic? Was everything clear?
I believe so, brother. That was a good topic. I think a lot of people needed to hear, because there's a
That's
lot
good.
of confusion being sown about that topic, and it's hard to convince people to move in a different direction, the right direction, and it's I appreciate I mean, I love that to see the people have the zeal, but like you said, we have to be obedient and do it right.
Yeah, that's for many years I actually tried keeping feasts. The problem was I could not. I constantly found myself lacking, and eventually you come to a point where you have to examine: are we able to do it? Are we actually? Brother Jason made us fully aware of this. Um, when we went to be baptized by him. We were discussing the feast and we are battling to keep it. And he first pointed us in this direction of examining if we are able to keep it. And from there, it was very clear that the Sabbath was the only day to be kept. And yeah, and that's where this understanding comes from. Right. Well, if there's no questions, I just want to see what the next topics are. We've done that topic. It's the okay. All right. So the next topic, I just want to see if this one's completed. Yes, it's completed. Of next week will be the law of worship and approach, meaning, of course, that we cannot just approach Yahweh. We have to meet conditions. Our man comes before Yahweh. Worship is not human initiative. Approach is not a personal preference. Yahweh alone defines how he is approached. So if we want to approach Yahweh, we have to meet certain conditions. So that is what we will be talking about next week. The week after will be, I'm still working on that one. will be the laws of clean and unclean. Of course, next week's topic will be touching on clean and certain things, because you cannot approach Yahweh without being clean. But this will be the laws of clean and unclean. We will be looking at understanding, for instance, the seminal fluid and blood, why it causes you to be unclean, what are the conditions around those, um, again, to cause uncleanliness, and the criteria why it is you are seen as unclean, even if it's an approved ritual act by Yahweh himself. You are seen as unclean until the evening, getting the understanding behind that, what is happening exactly, um, for you to be unclean. And it's not a serious unclean, as um, there are different levels of unclean, of course, and we will be looking at those, clarifying the uncleanliness of blood, uncleanliness of seminal fluids, uncleanliness of what we eat in our bodies, etc. So, yeah, that's for the next 2 weeks, what is lying ahead in these studies.
Brother, I want to
So,
say I appreciate you doing all this for us. I've learned quite a few things, so it's not in vain. So thank you very much.
well, thank you for saying that, Michael. I also see Alexandra and Candace and Nadia's comments, and it's because of that, and everyone else that has commented. Female Jude. I know Lucas was at my house today. I see him. He's in the audience. He's quickly went home so that he doesn't miss a thing of it. But yes, everyone here dialing in keeps me motivated to keep going and doing it. So I will keep doing it. And I'm very thankful that Yahweh shares with me these things so that I can share with other people. Believe it or not, I too learn when I do these things. And I do, I know a lot of these things, but I do see a different picture of it when I put it in these, with these, create these images and spend time specific on these topics. So it's good for me too. But I appreciate each one of you, doing it with me. Thank you very much.
No problem, brother. I'm happy to be of service to you, bro.
Well, I'm happy to be in service of you guys. So we are filling an obligation of Torah, serving each other in brotherhood and sisterhood. So that is good. If there's no one having a question, then thank you very much. Have a blessed Sabbath for those who are still in Sabbath. Our Sabbath has ended on this side. And have blessed evenings, and all my greetings and love in each and every one of your homes.
Much love, brother. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.